We're gonna get to the predictions, and let me hear your prediction for the NFL games this upcoming weekend. I'll start off with Panthers and the Seahawks. That man, Seahawks. That man. The whole way they got there, it was just so lucky, man. So lucky. Like Blair Walsh misses that field goal. Like it's a legit. It was the former extra point field goal, and Blair Walsh misses it. You know what I mean? Like it's so many things that oh man, you just look at it, you just like wow. But
not to mention the fumble from Adrian Peterson.
The fumble from Adrian Peterson killed. The fumble from AP killed. You know what I mean? So actually, in the tournament, who do you credit more for that loss, Blair Walsh or AP? For AP fumbling the ball on their own 20-yard line, actually no, at their 30 or 40. Fumbling the ball and giving Seattle great field position. Who do you atone that loss to more, AP or Blair Walsh? Blair Walsh misses an extra point relatively. Who do you believe lost that game more?
I know that kickers, like their only job is to kick, and for that's the field goal. One job. Okay, one job is to kick, and that field goal was relatively easy. But I do put it on Adrian Peterson, and the reason why is that the points that they got throughout the game came from Blair Walsh and his field goal. So
that's true.
He probably felt the weight of the entire game on his shoulders to make that field goal kick. And as scary as that may seem, and has as much pressure it was put upon him, he probably was like really shaking, probably like I should kick this like this, and then it messes up.
And also the placeholder, when they hike the ball, the laces are supposed to face out from the kicker. I don't know how much. I never kicked, professionally, field goal, whatever. Never did in high school, nothing. But the laces are supposed to face out away from the kicker. So when a kicker kicks, he's not kicking at the football laces. The laces were facing in on that final kick. Blair Walsh had already hit one from like 46 yards with the laces facing in. But yeah, this is one thing I just want to put out there. But yeah, okay. Rashad, who do you think is more at fault for the loss?
One, neither one of them is at fault for the loss. Blair Walsh put them in a predicament to win the game by giving them the points they had because they couldn't score on offense. I mean, the offense had a problem there.
That's true.
Adrian Peterson fumble happened kind of, I'm not going to say early, but I mean, as you see, they had another possession to win the game.
That's true.
So, and they were still in the running. So neither one of those plays in particular had, it doesn't go down to a play. Like, we always say it doesn't go down to a play. It goes down to the whole game.
Yeah.
That offense couldn't perform. Yes, you're playing the Seahawks defense, but that offense couldn't perform. Teddy Bridgewater couldn't perform like he needed to. The line couldn't perform like they needed to. It was cold, but I mean,
because -3.
Yeah, -3 is cold. -3 is cold. It's cold. It's a little breezy out there.
Yeah.
But
that's when your tears freeze.
The laces facing the ball, it does affect a lot. Because actually, when I was placeholder for Jason, like when just messing around with Jason, and I mean, I seen Jason shank some incredible, like super shank stuff because I had the laces to him.
Yeah.
And as immediately as soon as he kick it, he knows like, yeah, the laces was facing the wrong way.
Oh,
like,
wow.
So like kicking with the laces, it affects. But I mean, even 20. But I mean, if you think about it, kicking field goals in itself isn't easy, especially in -3 degrees weather. It's not easy kicking a football.
And imagine you're sitting there the whole game.
Yeah, you're like,
people said like even after the post game interview, he was still red in his face because of how cold it was. So imagine just how just kicking that hard football. That football had to feel like a brick.
I mean, he's not constantly moving.
Yeah, he's not constantly moving. So think about it. His legs could have been freezing cold. He probably couldn't even feel his legs when he kicked the ball. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, it still was a chip shot. I mean, we everybody still knows it's a chip shot. But I mean, because if you notice, the Vikings didn't get rid of him. So I mean,
because he was efficient throughout the whole game.
Yeah, he's the reason to put him in predicament to win the game in the start with, because the offense couldn't do anything. Neither offense could do anything, honestly.
Yeah.
So I can't say Adrian Peterson's fault for fumbling. I can't say Blair Walsh for missing the field goal. He should have made the field goal. He missed it. Adrian Peterson shouldn't have fumbled. He fumbled. It happens. Games happen.
I say, that's a great point. See, I'm stuck because on one hand, I'm like, that was a chip shot. That was a chip shot. In the same essence, I do hear that, like you said, mentally it does mess up kickers when the laces are facing towards them and they kick the ball. Like that mentally crushes a kicker. The laces are always supposed to face out. And now I've paid attention to a lot more. When they even noted it in the Alabama and Clemson game when the holder took the kick, he spun the ball so the laces would face out when he was placing it down. So it's like that plays a factor in how the field goal kicker kicks. I mean, it was a chip shot, but I'm just like, man, because of the fact it was a chip shot makes it worse. But if he was like 46 yards away, we would be like, dang, like he missed a 46-yarder. It wouldn't be as bad. You get what I'm saying? Because it was a chip shot, that's what makes it bad. And just because of the fact it wasn't even close, like it didn't even sniffing upright. Like that thing wasn't even in the area code. Like we in the 757, that thing was in the 703. That's how bad that kick was. But then Adrian Peterson, for Adrian Peterson, his problem is because this fumbling thing has been a problem for Adrian Peterson for years. That's the only problem with me for Adrian Peterson, his fumble.
But he cleaned it up though. He cleaned up his fumble.
No, he's cleaned up the fumbles, but Adrian Peterson has always fumbled in the worst moment that you don't need him to fumble. The last time they were in the NFC Championship, when Brett Favre was there. Granted, Brett Favre threw the game, game-losing interception to the Saints that propelled the Saints to the Super Bowl. Adrian Peterson had about 3 fumbles in that game, and you look at it and you're like, man, this dude is just fumbling the ball. But go ahead. Hello, you're talking to KBR Sports. How may I help you?
How you doing, you all? First of all, I just want to say you guys have a great show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Y'all doing a great job. I just wanted to speak on whose fault it was in the loss of the Vikings. And I must blame Adrian Peterson.
Why is that?
Why must I blame Adrian Peterson? Because Adrian Peterson constantly fumbles the ball, and we love to overlook it because he's AP.
That's true.
You can't blame this kicker. You can't, because he wouldn't even been in this predicament if they protect the football.
That's true.
Just like he has one job, AP has one job.
That's true.
This is a playoff game.
So, okay, why can we say that fumble was the problem? What about the play where AP didn't get the first down before that Blair Walsh kick? Why does the fumble makes that big of an impact when they still had a chance to score again?
The team with the most turnovers usually loses. That's why.
That's true. Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. The team does with the most turnovers lose, but they still had another chance, and they was right there at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, but that was a critical. That's a game-changing moment. That fumble.
There's a lot of game-changing moments in a game. There's a lot of plays that could have happened in the game that could have caused the Seahawks to lose. The score could have been completely different if certain plays would have executed the way they were supposed to. It's just part of a game. Plays happen in a game.
Plays do happen, but that fumble should not have happened.
So we're just going to discredit Cam Chancellor for how great of a play he made. So it's all AP's fault, but not Cam Chancellor.
But we're talking about AP. He should have held on to that ball.
But AP is human just like any other running back. He can't say because he's AP he's not supposed to fumble.
Okay. I have a question for you, Rashad. So in the Bengals loss, when Jeremy Hill fumbles the ball, when they technically had they were running the clock out to beat the Steelers, and Jeremy Hill fumbles that ball.
See, that's different. But see, because if you look at AP's fumble, they still had another shit. That right there took all chance away, basically, because you're running the clock out to win the game, compared to trying to score to win. You're just trying to manage, get the first downs to run the clock out completely. It's different. But if you look at that game, was there also plays where they shouldn't have to worry about completely running the clock out just to hold on to a small lead? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, they had plays where they could have easily blew that team out.
Yeah, I get it, but I also see where the caller's point, because Adrian Peterson you're the star of that team. You're the highest paid running back. You were just complaining about your contract a few years ago. Relatively last year after the child abuse scandal. You
were just suspended.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You were just complaining about all these issues with your contract and everything, but then you're supposed to be the go-to guy for that team. Everybody's always had a knock against Adrian Peterson, and that's been his fumbling issues and his receiving ability as a running back. You catch this pass running out in the flat. You pick up the first down, but then we were watching the. I think no, we weren't watching the game. Who was I watching the game with? I was watching the game with Nigel, and I even said it that AP's about to fumble. I called it just because I saw how he was running with the football, and as a running back, I was a running back, so you know when a running back is. You can't play the Seattle Seahawks and not protect the football. And that's the only problem with Adrian Peterson. The way he was carrying that football, that was so loose. And,
it was loose.
You know what I mean? And that's the problem because he was towing that ball like as if it was
like he knew he wasn't going to get touched.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And you have Cam Chancellor who's been known for making great strips like that. And the whole Seahawks defense makes great strips like that. Cam Chancellor won a game earlier in the season. He stripped Calvin Johnson on the goal line. You know, and I mean, obviously that's the bat game because the ball is bound. But
I have another play. I have another question there for the caller and for you guys.
Okay.
If Adrian Peterson wasn't the running back in the game on that play, and the other running back fumbled, is it now on his fault and not Adrian Peterson's, or is it because it's Adrian Peterson and his fumbling issue that we're like, oh, it's Adrian Peterson?
Because he's Adrian Peterson. Of course, he's going to take more of a hit because he's AP. He has that name. His expectations are a lot higher. But regardless, the person who turns the ball over is going to be at fault because up to that point at the game, from that point forward, that was the most critical game-changing moment.
But
we can talk about other things that happen in the game, but that right there just basically put them in harm's way.
Especially when the offense is being inefficient and can't score. And then you fumble and turn over the ball.
But the thing is, because everybody will be saying the fault is now on Blair Walsh for missing the field goal, then saying it on the backup running back because it's not Adrian Peterson. That's my case here.
But see, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, Rashad. I get your point. But here's the reason why I think that point. The only reason why I think that point to me is nullified in an extent is because of how much fault Jeremy Hill has gotten for his fumble. And against Pittsburgh, and he's not Adrian Peterson. I mean, Jeremy Hill's, you know, he's not in the stratosphere of how great Adrian Peterson is. But Jeremy Hill, you know what I mean? But the only thing that took Jeremy Hill out of the spotlight was Vontaze Burfict and Adam Pac-Man Jones. Those two 15-yard penalties. Those two penalties is what essentially covered up Jeremy Hill because those two penalties put Pittsburgh at field goal position. Pittsburgh made one play. They made one play on that drive to get a first down, and then the rest of it was just penalties, and then they just kicked the field goal. That's all it was. But whereas in the Vikings game, like you said, like they were driving to score and everything like that. And you make that pass to the running back. As a running back, you can't. It's like it does to some cadence. It does make it bigger because it was AP. But in the same essence, you know, if AP doesn't fumble the ball, we're like, oh, Adrian Peterson made a spectacular play. Whereas if it's a backup running back, we might not credit that backup running back for how much we might credit Adrian Peterson, if you get what I'm saying. Like, there's a double-edged sword to being the superstar of your team, especially since that's the mantle he took upon himself. You know, so there's some things that come with it. So I mean, because Blair Walsh, that's a chip shot. Like, that is a chip shot. But Adrian Peterson as especially knowing that's been your issue and seeing just the fact, seeing how he was running with that ball in that play, how he was just so careless.
He was so safe.
You know what I mean? He was so careless with it. It's like, man, it's like AP is the one that pretty much, because the Seahawks had nothing going, nothing. And even their one score, the one time they scored, you can argue that was just a Vikings undisciplined play because that play was entirely broken down. It was, well, the play that led up to them scoring, but it was a play where Russell Wilson scrambled and the defensive end went for a big hit on him and lost containment and missed him. And then he completes that big pass down the field to Tyler Lockett and picks up like a 20, 30-yard gain. So if you even look at plays like that like the Vikings defense, I mean, that game was so cold that it was not a passing game at all. It just wasn't a passing game. So you look at a play like that and you're just like, man, like the Seahawks offense, you can only imagine like there was not much the Seahawks offense would have done without that field position that the Vikings gave them through that Adrian Peterson fumble. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you have anything to say? How about you, Khalid?
Nah.